I mean, he was honestly, like our OC. There was never a game that any of them went into that we were not prepared. We knew what we were going to get, and it's just all about execution after that.
Was in Bo Nix's case, was he as crazy of a film junkie as everybody says he is? Because people say he's pretty legendary in terms of the way. Speaking of preparation, he's a player that's cited as legendary for the way that he prepares for a game.
100%. I mean, I think his college experience definitely paid off, and I think he earned where he's at right now just because he put in the work. And I think like coming from Auburn, he learned so much, and he would tell you that. So when he got to Oregon, he knew what it took, and he just needed that kind of reset, at a different program as well. And he's definitely one of the most elite quarterbacks in preparation that I've ever seen. I mean, he was honestly, like our OC, just as smart, and I think it showed on the field for sure.
Were there plays that he did? Say he's like, let's see, were there plays he designed or was a part of designing when he was on the team?
100%. He was very hands on when it came to what he liked, didn't like, and a lot of QBs are, but I think he was so smart that he kind of knew, I guess a better answer at times. Out there on the field, he processed super fast, and he was able to just kind of get us in, good plays, positive plays. If we were going to have a negative play, he was never going to take a negative. He would always get us, back to even at least. And I think, the way he managed the games was, at a high level.
What's crazy is that I heard the story that's legendary with him is that he got drafted by the Broncos. Sean Payton gave him the whole binder of their playbook, and he apparently came in the next morning had it totally memorized. So he's just like a folk hero when it comes to his football IQ and his brain.
It doesn't shock me at all. I mean, that dude, he can, you know, he knows football, and he knows the X's and O's at a very high level. And so, I even remember he was getting a bunch of playbooks, and that wasn't the only one he had, and he had them all memorized. He would go up and ask our coaches about protections and everything, just so he was prepared at that time when he was getting interviewed for the NFL.
After all those years of watching these guys, are you just really, really excited to finally get to now take all those things and demonstrate them on a field?
Instead of being frustrated, I kind of put it in the vision of like it's almost exciting just because you've worked so hard, you've learned so much, you've played under some of the best coaching staff in the country. You did things at such a high level that like you're ready to take everything you learned and just kind of display it. And I think that's going to be the exciting piece of it all. Is kind of just when it comes together because you've kind of like been away for 3 years, kind of learned everything, and then now you're ready to kind of let it all out. So
What do you think the most challenging moment of this whole journey has been for you so far?
it happens to a lot of kids, but just kind of being at your high school, you get you're highly recruited. You think you're gonna go and play at a big school, and then like things just don't happen, and you kind of just gotta work, 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 and it's 3 years of work for 365 days a year that you're playing for a couple months of the sport you love. And I think like coming from what you do in high school, and you're kind of the guy, and then you go for 3 years and you just gotta work, and nobody sees anything you're doing. It's just kind of in the dark by yourself. And those coaches, I think that's tough, but at the same time, like now you kind of see a little bit of light and kind of an opportunity that you're ready to just kind of like go at it. And so I think that's the exciting part, and that was probably the hardest part, was just um working without anyone seeing.
You were at the Manning Academy a year ago. Um, what was the number one thing you feel like you learned or took away from that experience?
Eli said, he would go back. He wouldn't even make it on the plane, and he's already watched the whole game of himself and just taking notes of, you know, what his drops looked like, what he messed up on. And, he said he did that just because if he waited, he would forget things that happened in the game. He'd be like, as soon as I missed this ball or, did this, they played this coverage. And he said he would do that because then when he played a team again, he would have those notes and go back and look at them. And so it's just being super particular with your notes, and I think critiquing yourself is important too.
For all those people in Texas that saw you play quarterback in high school, we talked about that earlier, and haven't seen you for 3 years, how is Austin Novosad different as a quarterback now than you were as a quarterback then? What are they going to see that's new in your game this year that they haven't seen in the past?
I'd say the biggest difference is, the weight I was able to put on at Oregon. I think just really developed my body speed, um, and I think like being able to when you come from high school, you're just out there making plays, and then now you understand the game and you understand defenses. So go out there and being able to just kind of like, it's not about the explosive plays, even though the fans like those, obviously, but it's about just managing the game, keeping the offense, moving forward and getting first downs. I think that's kind of the biggest thing is just the maturity from a quarterback standpoint to, take the check down when it's there and, keep the ball moving forward.